Meredith, Bill Heisen, Aileen Morris,
Yeah.
Eddie Payne.
Here. Now that's it. We can stand and play the witness.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Yeah. The set calendar has some desire of the agenda.
Three, I'd like to amend the agenda. All right, and put the conversation about the police status on here tonight. Okay.
We'll find and,
Where are you gonna insert that?
Let's do that right after this. Let's do it right away. It's easier.
Okay, and she can.
Point Meredith this time to the events committee, from this page to the EC. And approval of the dark skies proclamation.
Right.
With the addition of the consent's request, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
There's a couple things I'd like to question.
What's that?
Well, the first one is, why is Eddie's already on the committee, so why is he being appointed? He's being appointed just as a regular member, not a liaison, is that the?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have to do that. We never did that before for a committee.
Yeah, I was curious about that too,
We don't have to do that for a
but.
committee, I don't think. We just put the 2 or 3 on the.
Maybe you should ask the town administrator.
What? Yeah,
That's what I heard last time, that you wanted us to start doing committee appointments, that they run up to.
That's just a bureaucracy. I
For
mean,
liaisons, I'm not sure. if I can
liaison,
remember.
yeah, liaison.
I mean, we can approve this, but
Yeah, but just for future, I don't think, because we changed, we got a new person now.
now with Meredith, she's the liaison
Yeah,
for them,
that-
so that's
that's
a different issue.
That's important,
So
yeah,
this should sort of read liaison
yeah.
to the event committee and appointment of Edward Payne as member.
We'll just drop it over.
Or just drop it. Yeah, right.
I'll keep showing up,
Good, because we need you there. We're counting on it.
because they kind of, set the precedent to start on the other laws.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Appoint Meredith, I do.
Yes, but amended as a motion, so this is your consent.
Okay. So I motion that we amend the consent calendar to remove the Eddie Payne as a member of the EPC and reword appointment of Meredith Hines as liaison to the events committee.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Changes are made.
Okay, the other thing is, the dark sky proclamation, I think we should at least reference the General Assembly and Governor Youngkin, what they're saying. What we're saying is very basically, it's about visual. And they got the full proclamation. I think that they went to the trouble of writing this. So maybe I was going to say International Dark Sky Week as set out by the General Assembly or by Governor Youngkin, and the stipulations there. Because one of the things about ours and theirs is they talk about insects decline, migration, birds, and effects. And this one only talks about visual. It's like,
And it still says the creative, which I don't,
yeah, oh, he has that in it? Oh, yeah, let's,
they
I
change
think it-
God's creative. That is
Yeah.
all.
Well, my take on this whole thing is that it needs to be simple, whatever word we use, it be simple.
And,
Because it reflects the governor is anything, because we already have an ordinance on the books that addresses this issue. And even no matter what kind of proclamation you put out, it's not going to change the ordinance one bit.
yeah, and if I can.
It's just recognized, that all will get together and come up with some.
Well, no, I just think it needs to be
You know,
more than just our simple version.
I have no problem.
Our town attorney has consistently told us essentially the more we put into things, the more it's gonna obligate us to,
Right.
to committing to those things.
His advice to us is anything that we do do is keep it simple.
Simple.
So, I mean, I have no objections if y'all don't want to put this, if y'all want to put this one down at the moment and come up with something different, that's not a problem.
I'm fine with it as it is.
Well, I think we want to time it for it's
So we just
back in the day.
approved- We just approved the consent calendar.
Right,
so
which that was
we just
included.
approved it. So,
You know,
I think we can move on from there, and then next time it comes around, we'll think about it a little hard.
That sounds good.
So we do have an ordinance, so.
And we have a place to start on the books.
Yeah. I see no general public in attendance this evening, so we'll skip item number 3, public forum. I haven't had a whole lot to add to anything I said at the town council work session, other than I did supervise the ribbon cutting this morning at the Mexican restaurant, and they're open for business. I think they had a pretty good turnout today for not even having advertised it was open today. The other thing I mentioned, I had talked to Piedmont Housing about the problems that some of the residents were having at the apartments, up into the apartments and spoken at the residents. That the report of what Piedmont told me they were doing to clear up any misgivings that the residents had about paying their bills. One gentleman told me he was able to pay his rent bill at the facility over here to the resident managers. So we're getting their problems worked out, but I did report that to you. That's all I had on that.
I thought we were going to go to the chief.
Yeah, well, we are, I'll do it staff reports.
Oh, okay.
So we have a maintenance staff member that started today. It's me.
Bravo.
So Jim has been working with me this morning. We took a little bit of tour with the trucks. Started working around. I think he met Bill today. Well, again. And then Greg saw him.
I met with him, or I saw him at lunch. It
Okay,
seemed like he was doing a good job.
okay, perfect. So I know it's Scottsville, so you see everyone. So handed him a whole bunch of keys. He's working through those. But has kind of hit the ground running, so we'll keep working with him. This is his first week, so he said it felt very friendly hello from everyone today, so I think that's a good flow.
Good. Does he have any kind of probation period? Are you managing him for the first 3 months?
So we discussed that during the selection process. We talked about that last week, right?
So you're capturing that on a regular basis?
A little bit rough today because you're always trying to put
We
everything.
don't catch it on a daily basis, but on a weekly basis.
Well, we'll check in. He's good at communication, so maybe I'll check in with you as it kind of progresses into the months. And then beyond that, so I got information that Alamo County is working on that drainage issue by the Boys and Girls Club. So they're looking to install a ditch. Yeah, I was trying to find maybe a more engineering term for a ditch. In the portion, from what they can tell, the pipes kind of rusted and it's filled with sediment. So they're gonna have a pre-construction meeting this week and then start working on it as soon as possible. But Parks and Rec has been down there multiple times working on it. So I'll forward the email with the details to council.
Javier, that brings up, I meant to call you
Mhm.
that manhole cover up at Dollar General keeps running and running water downhill. So
So,
I don't know what's going on there, but
yeah.
somebody's wasting a lot of recently.
We should put a sign up with like Alamo County's, legal team and be like, your vehicle's damaged, or your property's damaged. Contact them.
Yeah, so I talked with,
It's been weeks now.
oh, it's been more than a week.
Yeah.
Months. Service authority, I talked with the service authority, VDOT, and the county. So what it is there's stormwater drainage going all the way up from past Lumpkins, all the way down, and there's some amount of there's some drainage issue, probably something clogged right under the Dollar General.
This is more than storm water.
Think so?
For this to run like that and flow out of the top of that.
Yeah, it's like a guy.
For months, there's no way that's storm water.
Well, you have to think.
See, this this pipe goes under the driveway that I get my house on, and I was go up the driveway on the left side, that's fed by a creek. So there's always water coming down. We were told that the pipe somewhere between that drive and Dollar General, maybe on the Lumpkin's property, has collapsed, it's packed full of stuff. So the water builds up and then it'll break through and then we'll go down there. And then Dollar General did not design their holding tank like the should. So that's not working properly. It's a Dollar General problem, not a county. We don't have anything we can do.
So, yeah.
And we can't, but we have to keep plugging these
We have,
parts.
talked to the real estate people that, that control all the, property management company, that controls all the Dollar Generals in the world. They don't even return our phone calls.
So we've been trying to get the county to help us out, and they've been receptive, but
What did Mr. Bowen say about this? We could ask him, yeah, we need a letter from Mr. Bowen or something. We need to amp this up, I think.
it's a good idea. I'll follow up.
You know, getting back to the other ditch that's gonna replace another clogged up pipe, and that's on county property. They have found $80,000 that they can dig a ditch with, so.
Tell them we'll take the water, it is cash.
So,
Can we still lock the doors and don't do what they do with smoking?
We don't want to do that.
Like,
We don't want to do that.
They pay.
They pay their money, it's just this issue, and it's not necessarily the employee's fault, and quite frankly, the community relies on television.
It's the Dollar General rents from the property owner over in Roanoke. So I've been having a lot of discussions with Ron and the county trying to see if they can do a little bit more weight. Sometimes feel like the smaller ones and we get treated sometimes that way.
Supervisor Pruitt seems to be on it, I like it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
good, he's very good, very responsive, I'm so impressed.
else.
Yeah, we got an employee. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, Chief, you wanna come up for a minute? Javier and I met this afternoon for an hour or so, and, we're just discussing next year's budget and looking at it very closely. And we have decided that is it Wednesday, the 27th, will be our special meeting to begin talking about the budget. And you are certainly welcome, Chief, to say anything you want to this evening, but if you want to be at that meeting too, I don't want you to have to repeat yourself to the same people twice.
Mayor, thank you for having me, council. Thank you for having me this evening. As requested by council at the work session, I had taken the opportunity to put some numbers together and made a recommendation at the bottom. I'm happy to come on Wednesday, the 27th and discuss further, or I'm here this evening to answer any questions that council might have regarding the memorandum.
If you don't want to just give us the gist of what you've come up with there, and then we can get into real detail of it on the 27th.
Yeah, Chief, did you put the numbers together as we talked about the session?
Yes, ma'am.
I did not see that. Javier, did you attach that?
I shared it over email.
No. Everyone, I just.
Think so.
I'd like to see if we could motion, get this.
Yeah, so here's the,
This is 2 weeks down.
being that it's time.
Well, not only that, is that we wanna, if it affects highway, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a next year
I'll
problem.
Here's the,
cut to the chase here, and I'll move that here's my plan, we can discuss this after my motion. But I move that we take the $15,000 requested and lay it out here from the Caldwell Fund. We implement that after this meeting, right now. And then we push this conversation further to the budget conversation. And at that point, we can either replenish the Caldwell Fund from our budget, either make it faster with any additional money that we have. But in an effort to get Chief moving along and to treat our employees the way they need to be treated.
I think.
If I can refine that motion, I move that we take $15,000 from the Caldwell Fund and preemptively Move that to the police.
I'll second it.
So would it be? It would be a budget amendment. So you want to put a 7-day public notice. It might be useful to call a public hearing for that special session that we're having next week. And then,
Okay, the special session next week on the 27th?
That's not next week, that's 2 weeks.
No, that's next week. Time is going by quickly. I know.
Let me tell you what, Tom here and I was looking at the budget this afternoon. First of all, my thoughts are that we haven't even offered anybody the job.
So,
Why can't we, even if we offer them the job, tell them the hire date is July 1st? That way we can incorporate this into next year's budget right off the bat. And, if they were hired anytime before July 1st, they're not gonna do anything anyhow.
I think the thinking is that it gives them the leverage to extend that offer to people that are either pre-trained or that would be interested in that job, not that the candidates that have applied.
And that's
If we get someone that's not certified, the next academy class is boom,
July 8th.
that's tight, boys, you know.
Well, not only that, we only have several officers who are gonna have to do overtime for a long stretch. And I think that's too long for the chief, for Officer Wood to,
We're not even, we can't even hire anybody, will a full-time position as a certified officer until they go to the academy. That's not gonna happen.
No.
this would be, we
no.
hire them
This
as
is the
certified
You
officer.
could come in 2 weeks.
We're just trying to bump up the salary.
Yeah, so when
It's all about in next year's budget, we have bumped up the salary.
But can't this year's budget be adjusted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
We give 7 days notice.
Which we have until the next meeting, but this will be in June.
And by then it'll be time for us to talk about the budget anyhow.
I just don't want us to get caught in a technicality.
Which is
So,
fine, but if we don't move on this today, then we won't have 7 days, we'll have to wait a week to advertise after, right?
we can do, if I advertise Tuesday and you have a meeting like Wednesday, or you have a meeting Tuesday, you could do it 7 days.
Okay, I think expedience is the.
I agree.
And even if it's like the mayor's saying, and it doesn't,
But it doesn't
and we already
happen.
have the money, it doesn't happen, you just put it back in,
That's right.
or we don't have to do it at all.
And what I would suggest is maybe you can make a motion to allocate from the police budget, so you aren't pulling from a different fund. And making it like a budget amendment. So you're just saying, hey, some of the cost savings you're having with staff right now, you could start using for that for this year, so I think we would be
But
able,
then it doesn't fix up our long term, we're just gonna have to meet
yeah.
to do that again.
Can we do that, chief? Can you use the overages from your budget, or is that earmarked for something else?
So we've got 3 months of salary that we will be saving since Barnett's retirement. Javier and I were chatting, and we're thinking, without actually looking at the numbers, probably $4,000 to $4,500 per month in savings. So we're talking about 3 months.
Talk about cover.
Should cover it if council's okay with me shifting that. You all have been very gracious of allowing me to move and pay for things, but I'm okay with that. I just know our back is against the clock when we're talking about trying to advertise between now and the time I have to have an officer. I have to make a decision on the academy. Probably first, second week of June, so I can onboard that person,
Right.
uniforms, and get them ready for the academy. I'll have to prepare the academy probably last part of May, June, first part of June, to let them know that we will be sending someone.
Okay.
Now, if we get a certified person to apply, they still go through the same background. And it's gonna take a while,
Right.
months to get the background completed with polygraph, medical, drug testing and
But it
psychological.
won't be the year to go through the academy, correct?
I'm sorry,
But it won't be the year to go through the academy.
it's 20 weeks to go to the. academy. Is that what you're talking
If you hire a certified officer.
Oh, we won't have to.
We won't have to wait for a year for them to complete their academy training, correct?
Correct, that's assuming that they.
They've already they're already certified, so that's the big savings from a staff perspective, I would think, correct?
Staff wise, boots on the street, quick to the, fast to the street, straight to the streets, what we call it, would be a certified officer.
So
I mean, that money's already allocated for salary.
if it's already allocated and we can shift without a hearing, that would be better, because we're saving a whole week.
And he can get going right away.
Exactly.
He's already doing
And I
that.
would have appreciated some communication on this to figure out, because I don't think I can actually public notice. I mean, 3 days ahead of now 3 days for. It's
To
tough.
reallocate money, which scenario were we talking? One is reallocate money that the chief has already had in savings for
Much easier.
state. Then what I'm saying is Alex can retract his motion
Yes,
and the second, and then we can have a new motion to just reallocate funds from the staff savings to apply to a certified officer commensurate with the numbers that the chief has laid out in his documentation.
yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. I heard, council at the work session talking about increasing the salary for a new officer at a point, but yet hiring them on at a different rate than the existing staff already.
Absolutely, you
So
bump up the officer.
everyone has to go.
Yeah.
Everyone has to go up. Right, that's what your numbers have in there, right? That's
The
the,
proposed budget that we'll look at next Wednesday has those two items covered.
Yeah,
right, so that's for next fiscal year, but this will cover you can go out and post for a certified officer now then, if we approve this. So Alex, do you want to
So
retract your motion?
Before I do that, with reallocating, we can increase the current staff salary.
well, I did some napkin math in the parking lot, because I didn't know about it until an hour ago. So that's my hesitancy, and I'm gonna put this on the public record. I want to be very careful with our budget, because that has been the highest priority. But I want this conversation to be remembered in June, but shooting from the hip, which I don't like to do as a town administrator. I think if we have probably about 3 months of staff savings, we should be able to, at least with a reallocation, cover staff increases starting next paycheck maybe, would be the easy way of doing it. We're starting a pay cycle last Saturday for 2 weeks. And then what I would suggest is that if you want to talk about, if we're talking about needing a reappropriation, we already need to do one for this fiscal year because our grants got delayed. So you wrap this into that and do the math correctly, so we're hitting our budget correctly. And then I've already worked and talked with Ron, I worked over the weekend on trying to incorporate this into next year's budget, because
Right, but I don't even want to talk about next year's budget. What I'm really concerned about is getting the chief the officer he needs in this fiscal year.
Yes.
So how many days do you need to feel confident that you can give the go-ahead to reallocate money from his staff salaries, the existing appropriations, to this new approach?
I'd like to not only wrapping up the last 2 financial statements, and then sitting down with Greg, which last week I asked,
How many days?
can we do 3, 4 days?
That's a long time, Javier. You
If we're
can't do it
at
any faster.
We're at 4 days, we're at 7 to just get the chunk of money, which is inconvenient, I understand. But everything's right there, but we can replenish that fund with the staff savings as well.
Yeah, the money we need to bump up a new officer's salary, a certified officer, we have to give them more money, we have to advertise more money, and hopefully we can hire at that rate, as opposed to sending someone fresh to the academy. Does the pay increase for you and Brad have to be in 2 weeks, or would you wait until we get someone that, off the street is certified now, and everybody goes up at the same time?
All I need to make sure is this: if I advertise it again for certified only, that the funding is going to be there for $50,000 for a new officer. If a certified person applies, and that's an if. We've advertised it once and we got no certifieds. Will people take a look at it again? I'm not sure, maybe.
Right.
I've talked to some of those folks that have looked at it the first time and said, I'm really working with council to try to increase that starting pay, told them the number, still not enough. So I want to be optimistic about a certified applying, But I want to make sure council understands that there are no guarantees that a certified person is going to apply. And we may be, forced to go with
The academy.
the academy. Now, as I told Mr. Payne coming in the door, he asked, how much do we pay the academy? We pay it just increased this year. On July 1st, it'll go up $100. Went from $620 per officer per year to $720 per officer per year.
$720
Mhm.
per year.
So the cost of sending the officer is not the expense. What I've heard council say is the salary that we spend for an officer to go to the academy, 20 weeks, then they come back, 240 hours in FTO at a minimum. And then everything's successful, they get cut loose. So we're probably talking 10 months from July 8th. So we got, what, 13 months between now and the time they get released, which is fine. We may not have a choice. I may not have a choice to be able to get an officer, but to send them to the academy.
Yeah, my feeling, we should at least try to get a certified person because part of
That's what I've heard from council is we at least try. But I would say, to answer your question, is once we identify that we have a certified and we're gonna do the 50, then all of the staff behind, at least my officer, they
Absolutely.
have to go up to the same.
Even if we don't get a certified
Usually,
officer, and even if we kept it at what we're saying, which I don't want to do. The officers that we have, the fact that our police officers and our maintenance staff are making the same amount, like. Regardless of what happens, who we hire, certified, not certified. Our current police staff still needs a name.
I agree.
The budget that Bobby there, and I worked on this afternoon, has increases for Officer Wood and the chief.
So if 15 for a year, if you're looking at 15,000 increase for a year, but we're essentially talking about 3 more months in this fiscal year.
Yes.
So that is 3.5 thousand. So in a month and a half, you would be able to cover that cost overages. So to Ms. Morrison's point, I would suggest that you vote to allocate for this year, the savings that we're having with the staff vacancy to address some increases in staffing for all of the police officers. And then we'll use next week the budget to make sure that we're able to incorporate that to the next fiscal year.
And it makes sense to me.
That's fine. Are you comfortable with that? Or do you still want the 3 to 4 days to figure that out?
I'm feeling a lot of pressure in doing the math. I think we should be able to cover it in its 3 weeks. I would have liked to always take a little bit of time in a calm situation and not at a meeting doing that to do it, but we should be okay. Just doing the napkin math that I did again here. So I would suggest that, and then of course, if I need to have another discussion with you guys next week, we can discuss it.
Well, worst case, Javier, you correct me, Melanie, too, if I'm wrong, if we run into a problem budget-wise, can't we then go through and post for the Caldwell Fund and borrow or take out a Caldwell Fund at that point, cover whatever shortages we might have?
Yeah, you do a budget amendment.
Exactly. What we're trying to do is not go that path unless we have to, right?
I think this might be the easiest way after.
That's.
And I'm fine with that. The only thing I want to make sure
Yeah.
is that if I keep my motion, let's say it passes, we have that money in 7 days.
Mhm.
And we can replenish it with staff, money, for vacancy money over 3 months. So as long as that money is available.
Which one?
What we're saying is the
Money,
reallocation.
reallocating.
He just wants guarantees that the reallocation will happen so that the chief
Yeah.
can move forward.
So that he's able to move forward with a guarantee that's not gonna advertise for a certain salary position.
Yeah, so.
And
then have to
go,
say, just kidding.
I don't know,
Yeah.
because if we take that money out right now, we'll have it and we can replenish it in a fairly short amount of time, it sounds like.
But we already have it with the staff savings.
Yeah.
So that's the,
I'm pretty sure with the napkin math I just did.
and if we don't, then we'll come back and then you can use that same motion, Alex, to cover whatever shortage there might be in that budget for
All right.
this fiscal year.
I will withdraw my motion.
So move forward with the new
Move
advertising.
forward with the new advertising to try to get a certified officer. We need a motion, though, to reallocate money from the existing salary to the salary for the new position, correct? That's a reappropriation of money.
Yes, and then how about the existing staff? Is that?
And that should cover the existing staff raises of, well, for both the chief and officer would,
So-
correct?
I move that we reallocate the money we are saving from the officer retirement to advertise for a certified police officer at a higher salary and also increase the salaries of our current police force.
Based on, the
Chief
chief.
getting the
numbers.
number.
Based on the chief's numbers.
I second.
And is there other discussion on this?
But I was going to say that, I do think this is a great discussion because I think it's one of our highest priorities in our town. We're so fortunate to have the police at least, 2/3 of the day. And, and Chief's on its way to work overtime to do this. And he got these numbers to us really quickly. So I think this should be, this is a great thing for our town.
I also want to put in that I think chief should be getting this, you've been very selfless in the discussion, asking for Brad's pay increases and the future positions pay increase. And you have not said anything about yourself, and I think that needs to
And
be
we
said.
did cover.
You are very valued and we want to make sure you get.
We appreciate everything that you and your staff do.
And food for thought for the next go round, the average base salary for a police officer in Virginia is $56,359.
I think
We
that
should look at that for next year's budget.
That's what I-
That's a really good point. So hold those numbers.
And the larger the locality, the more they can pay, and of course, the more they need. Smaller places like us don't pay as much.
But this goes back to my point is we really need,
$9,000 short of what we should be paying, in my opinion. So
but this goes back to my point that we need to look at the budget strategically and we need to look at revenue, folks. Revenue has got to be our top.
Well, have you
priority.
ever done, well, that's another. Have you ever done this?
So any other discussion on that?
I presented it to you all several months ago.
Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion
Nope.
on the motion?
Well, the only caveat is, what if you don't find anybody who applies at that? We're just gonna keep it that way, right?
well,
Well, then we go back to the old number because we have to pay for the academy,
Right.
correct?
That makes sense.
for a non-certified, we can
Right.
go down some.
Right.
So I can adjust, but we would have the flexibility, okay? To be able to pay for the meals for the 20 weeks and things like that. So I think there's a lot of wiggle room to bring them in a non-certified at a little bit lower rate, which will help me cover travel expenses, food while they're over there. Lodging's taken care of by the academy. Travel may not even be an issue for the person that we're considering. He's asked about driving back and forth. That'll be on his dime, not ours.
That's at your discretion as far as I'm concerned, Chief.
Still have that flexibility.
But it does give me the flexibility to be able to work within the parameters the council has set forward. If I get a certified person that applies, I will certainly let everyone know. If not, we'll continue moving forward with the candidate that we have. Send them to the academy. And I've done some checking on that contract that we spoke about last week. The contracts are for sign-on bonuses. The way I understand it from a number of departments that have done it and are currently doing it, it's not for salaries. It's for sign-on bonuses.
So you get a sign-on bonus that you sign on, I get this bonus if I stay for so many years or whatever.
So they give a portion up front,
Got it.
sign portion up front, sign the contract. You get a portion 6 months later, or at the end of the academy, right? Once you've completed all your training, off probation, you get the latter half. If you don't stay within that contract period, the jurisdiction has the ability to be able to take the person to court or however that shakes out.
We're at tomorrow. probably.
So we're basically increasing the pool, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, we need to vote on, any other discussion on the motion?
Yep.
Madam Clerk?
Alex Cassette,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzko is here. Meredith Hine,
Yes.
Bill Heisen,
Yes.
Eileen Morris,
Yes.
Eddie Payne.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Yes, thank you.
I do have one more, I didn't bring this up a minute ago because it wasn't about the motion,
Yes, ma'am.
but one concern that just popped into my head. If we do get a certified applicant, are we taking that no matter, I mean, you may interview the certified applicant, decide that you like the uncertified one better? I mean, we're not gonna hire a certified officer for the sake of having a certified
No.
officer, right?
No, still got it.
But again, I think that's chief's discretion.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, like, because we keep saying we want a certified, I just.
That's ideal, right? I think what we're saying is we're giving this thumb to give him the flexibility to go out and post.
You
If
still,
it works out great, fine. If not, he has flexibility in what he offers in terms of putting someone through the interview.
even if you get an applicant certified, you still have to do that, that's just on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Other things,
Yeah.
so, you know,
Several months.
something in the closet that he didn't want to know.
And the last one, he hired, I think the old closet, he was certified. Someone y'all know who I'm talking about, because you always get what you think I'm getting.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
next
you.
Wednesday.
Wednesday at 7.
7. All right. We didn't have a report, Mr. Pacific, work section, anything else popping last week?
Javier, has there been any follow-up on the tobacco stores, light show?
Not yet, I'm trying to pull their frontage because some more signs went off when we stopped by to have lunch. So I'm probably gonna jump on that tomorrow. Melanie and I were talking about it.
Other than that, year and start our inventory, traditionally done earlier. Josh decided to push it back, I think it's a fine idea. We're gonna send out those mailers, the only thing I'll add to that is if it's possible to put those, ones.
So that-
I can't think it's an efficient way to do it.
That is Dante. The envelopes are open, so we can start stuffing them all.
Awesome.
Okay, and you have that flyer,
Yes, I have it right here.
so you can put it in.
I sent an email, maybe I changed the language for the audience a little
Right.
bit,
Yeah.
and then send it out.
That your discussion.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you. Mr. Presco is not here yet, so.
I was not at the literary festival meeting, unfortunately. I did speak to Amelie a little bit beforehand, but I don't really have that good. Were you at that meeting?
Yeah, so well, I talked to her again today, for a moment, so, she was checking in on signs, on the size, we have a decent quote. I think Stevie and the chamber joined, so they were double checking on, any follow-up they need to do. It was a little bit of a short of a meeting, but she says she's been getting authors together and is having a discussion. 2 different discussions this week. I think she's speaking Thursday with all the authors and then met today over at Baines about what they're selecting over there. We have food trucks set up for it and vendors. So it's moving forwards. Well, I don't see the background, but it's moving forward very smoothly.
So the sign, and I'm sorry that I'm having this discussion with you now, because I was at work when the meeting happened. I did tell Amelie that I got somebody to do the signs for free.
Yeah.
Was that, okay?
Did you tell me-
So when you were saying that quotes. I didn't know if that was just for printing them.
I have a sign code for something to put up on the farmer's market.
I see.
For there. And then she told me today you had a lead on somebody who does more like those marquee size and big ones.
Yeah, she's a graphic artist. She said that she would design all the posters and stuff for us. So it's great.
Yeah, these are only for the banners.
I see, okay.
And then I think she also said she's wrapping up a map. So.
Yeah, Jack's been.
Yeah, fun map.
involved in that.
Yeah, I think. This I think she's. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Anything else?
Well, let me just ask, you know, with events, I was talking about sheep, do anything with a number of people coming to town? It should be kind of broadcast, or maybe we have a notice of it, because I heard, there's two others I know about, but I don't know about. One is a town cleanup, and then this other one is something about Easter eggs, extraction or something.
Yeah,
You know
but see,
anything
not
about
everything
Are those,
is council, you know, like sometimes
that's,
Yeah,
that's how.
the egg one is the churches
So that's,
doing it,
but
yeah.
it affects the, I mean, the publicity would be, and also just so we know, if something's like what's going on there, you know, we could say, hey.
If people want to contact me
okay,
about events that they're having, I'll help publicize it, but you know. Events committee will be my fifth job,
Right, right.
so, you know, or sixth if we count council as a job, so, you know.
The cleanup one first, that's this week, you know anything about it?
Yes.
So that is just a local thing that's it's not sponsored by the town.
It's not so bad.
Okay.
That's just a volunteer.
Whatever.
I don't
Very long,
know.
very long.
So she,
Yeah.
okay,
And like I said, if any of these folks want to come to me and
Okay.
ask us to like publicize it, and I'm
Yeah,
happy
it's
to
kind
do
of
so.
like, you know, I understand your point, which is well taken, but, you know, if you have an organization, you know, then you either get the publicity out or you ask for help, and if you don't do anything, it's on you.
well,
Nobody should,
like, I'm sure that make sure the police know, because there could be, you know, you got a bunch of people in town that could be traffic, say,
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, Mr. Briscoe, welcome.
Mr. Mayor,
We were just giving them committee reports. You got anything on, planning commission?
Planning Commission, we have, as I mentioned last week, continued to work on the comprehensive plan. And one of the things that the Planning Commission has been doing is looking at different parts of it to work on it, to get the opportunity to kind of look through each section. I apologize if I made any comment last week that was confusing, but I think it's, what we're doing is totally open, people can look at it, but I think what we're wanting to do is let the planning commission follow it through. But everybody's welcome to see what, you know, what we're doing is totally fine. We also mentioned last week that an update to the planning commission, that they were interested in understanding the grants that we had gotten and, well, I'm sorry, we are working on, so they were interested to know about that, both the one with from the police department and also the one from the safety committee that was being submitted. And then we talked a little bit about the issue of us dealing with the one other adjustment to the code, and we heard Mr. Boland talk about it last week. And I'm open to any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Hines?
Well, the parks, we're meeting later, we're still looking at the signs and maps, if money's available, we'd like to get some signs and maps, but we could hold off until we find out about the budget, if we could afford those. And then the government service, I sent out the minutes, but basically, we looked at maintenance, and we're very involved with the hiring of the maintenance person. I came up with a list of things to do for maintenance. We're still going to be looking at the website, particularly maps and searches and scrolls, and trying to improve that. We might need that might cost some money if we have to try to improve that. And then we're looking at the budget. Just like they have a lot of eyes on the budget. There are a lot of people who are experienced in budgets, and And they've been very helpful looking at the town budget. And then the other thing, in our next meeting, we'll probably work on that policy on resignation appointments again and update that.
Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I make one comment on what you said, just to be helpful? Councilor Hackman, what I was gonna mention to you, I meant to mention this last week. In my learning about mountains in West Virginia, there's an app that's called Peakery. Peakery. And the app was created actually, so if you're gonna be a mountain climber, you put it in there and you kind of track it. But what's cool about the app is it's free, that's the good thing.
That's really cool.
So you can go, so if you go online and it's really not created for our area, but if you come away from the peaks and come over here, what's interesting is it shows there's a bunch of levels of maps and they're really neat. Like there's one that you can get at like a total view of the land and it shows how tall, like all the geography is going on here. It's really cool. I saw one before where it was money to do so, but I would just encourage, you can see it at many different levels, and I'm sure that's not the only one, but anyways, it's a really helpful way to see, and in fact, some of the best maps I've ever seen are on that free app, so this is a suggestion, take a look at it.
Sure. Any other questions for Mr. Hodson? Anything else, Mr. Newsom? I think that's it.
Nothing else on what I reported out at the work session, but we do have a big meeting coming up to address critical infrastructure issues. So when communications are down for whatever reason, and develop a partnership in discussing those scenarios and what might we be able to do that's better than what we can do today. Just kind of brainstorm with some of our infrastructure partners. So that'll be happening Thursday, and I can report back after. Well, when our communication went down because somebody broke through a line up at the Red Hill and stuff, and all of our communications were out.
Okay, so.
Right, so it's
Internet.
things like that, internet, phone,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff.
Also with the VDOT too.
Not yet.
Any other questions? Thank you. Got anything for us of interest?
I think, she covered everything in the workshop, and then you don't have a report tonight.
No, sir, I have nothing tonight, other than we have recovered all of the stolen vehicles from the past couple of days. And that same person actually stole a bicycle. Looks like the same night that one of our vehicles was stolen, so I compared the video that we had from the police department. One of our other businesses, same person. So we're dealing with that issue, just to answer your question.
Oh, okay, thank you. And, I think I saw Chief Lynn, born from a wife, so going on with the talk. So. Yes, I got that one.
Okay, thank you. That's good. Anything else from staff before we move on to this? Anything? You're working on February,
I have January almost done. I'm stuck for the credit card stuff in, and I'll be able to roll January, and then
we'll have January, February
Yeah.
financials for the meeting next Wednesday.
Yeah, I'd really like to be able to make that meeting. And it's on the 27th, right? That's a Wednesday.
Yes.
So I have to go out of town for some doctor's appointment.
I think
Can you zoom for you?
I don't know, because I'll be traveling, maybe I'll just Zoom and I'll Zoom if I can, but this is such an important meeting.
does the rest of the council talk about availability?
would Thursday be better?
Yeah.
For people?
Wednesdays, Tuesday or Wednesday is usually Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. You just pick Wednesday because it's, actually before, church services starting on Thursday and Friday and Sunday, and people going out of town for the Easter weekend and stuff like that.
Well, I can do Monday or Tuesday.
For what it's worth, I prefer Tuesday out of those two choices.
Tuesday is 7 o'clock.
Tuesday, I'm in town. That will be great. I would really, it's an important meeting and I would really like to be here. If it weren't for Dr. Turner, we can't.
We're gonna have a special meeting started to.
Next week.
Twenty-six.
Things that we're on, yeah, go, that Monday, definitely.
Thank you for your accommodation. Bill asked if we could do it early at 5.
No.
I can,
No. I know Dan has already said he has trouble making the early ones, so. Normal time, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, what do you guys want?
A good segue into our next item.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
26 at 7 p.m.
Item 7, I thought we sort of, took care of that at the work session as far as the comments were made. We need to vote on it. We're not making any changes. We just need, if we're making things like they are, we don't need a vote on anything, do we?
Now we're just leaving it.
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but, I haven't seen the workshop minutes. Do we have workshop minutes last week?
I have done no minutes at all because I'm trying to catch up with all the financials.
Okay, but
As soon as they're done, that's next on the agenda, on my agenda anyway.
well, it helps, even with all the nice little book you bought us, it helps,
Yeah.
to refresh. So, again, I'll make my case, as far as the time of day, to me personally, it doesn't matter. And as far, as, changing from a Monday to a Wednesday, to me, that doesn't matter. I just mentioned that, Mark County does it. But something I feel strongly about is that when we have all this coming up, even with the budget extra meetings, I believe Melanie and the administrator could use that extra week to, to get the minutes to us by the next meeting. And so I would go second and fourth.
My own, second,
But that's,
the only problem with that is that it slows down any potential, by a week.
yeah,
Anything you want to do, if we put up in the work session, we can't vote on it until next week right now, which is already a week away.
that's a good.
And now it'll be 2 weeks. So we get action.
But then it gives more time to think about it, that's it, you get the minutes, so.
we can do first and third, and then that way.
First,
we'll know
first
we
is
can-
conflict.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
But anyway, the meeting, I'll try to be here at the time, but I'll just don't throw it out there, it would give people more time.
I think, let's take this year and see if Monday's second, really think about it, but I think it's working. You've probably a little inconvenient sometimes. I think schedule wise, you already all for 7 o'clock, second and third, so.
So
Keep it
either
and
like
think about
it
it.
is, and first of the year, when the next annual meeting comes up and it's new year and maybe new administration, then
Let me make a
Is
comment.
that, yeah,
Let me make a comment.
it's election here for us.
In support of this, in support, in one way of what Council Payne said, and maybe this might be a good thing for staff. This is, I'm not scolding anybody, but what we could do is, if we know, we'd like to follow up on his point, let's just say in the rare occasion, we know, okay, you know what, we're not gonna have minutes next week, like, like, for example, if you're caught up with the financials. That would be good to know that that should not be the norm, in terms of what we do. But to Councilor Payne's point, it's not good to come here and not have a minute. It'd be good if we know ahead of time, like we're not gonna.
And I'm not picking on Melanie.
No, I know, but I'm thinking.
Everybody said it has way before.
Probably I had trouble from time to time,
Sure.
almost had trouble from time to time, so, that.
Well, I was more making a point in agreeing with you, saying like, there are times where they're buried with audits or they're buried with things, and they might say, you know what, this week it's not gonna be there. Or we could say, will it be ready? Yes, we think it'll be ready. That kind of communication.
what do you think about this? We record the work session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on the next day, send everybody an email with the link to the recording so they can sit there and watch the whole thing again. They won't have to. Then you still want to do a printed version.
Well, there's also pretty good,
It is.
there's also pretty good transcription software too. I don't know if it'll be exact, but if you want a printed copy,
We tried.
it doesn't work.
No.
But
You
look,
still need a printed copy, but if you want to send out the link to see the video of the previous night's meeting, there it is.
But let's clarify what we're talking about here, because I don't understand why it's so difficult, because there's two ways you can approach minutes, right? And I've done them both ways. One is a very detailed transcript method, and the other one is just sort of high level bullet points, right? If we move to a high level bullet points, does that make it any easier just to say we discussed these 6 things with a general feeling of one way or the other, we voted this way, yada, 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 does that make it any easier?
That's how they are. That's how they're,
So they are now, you know, it's pretty basic.
it's just having the time to do it.
I don't remember the last.
The last time we had this.
More basic than that.
Yeah, but
I think.
Yeah.
Maybe we should think
I mean,
about
maybe
get
there's-
creative and hire
maybe there's
someone
a
to
way-
do minutes.
maybe there's a way we can get some training.
Well, I mean, really,
Well, the thing of it is, once we're caught up, I mean, when I'm not having to do 6 months of financial statements at a time, it won't be an issue.
Yeah, in your defense, I think that's a totally fair statement.
yeah, we're not being critical,
Yeah, we're
we're
just
trying to say, what can we
figure
do to
out.
make
Yeah,
it easy?
and that's the thing, is once we're caught up, we're fine. You know,
Typically, a little bit of catch up on the gaps I had.
Throw something out here that doesn't have anything to do with this, but just before I forget it. Did we ever take any action on what Jim told us about money savings for the advertising?
No, I haven't had time
Okay,
to report back.
I want to make sure we get
Yeah,
that,
that's
so
a
we
good
for action, because
No.
that's something.
It's on my to-do list
Okay, cool.
to bring back next work session.
I want to go back to the, about the meeting times, just a suggestion to, we're gonna look at this over the next year, if we want to change times or whatever. To contact the ARB, the planning commission, and to see how they feel about their meeting times and dates. Because sometimes I say, we can't meet because they meet then, maybe, we get stuck in this, we've been doing this over and over for years, but I know that some of them would like to meet at different times. Now, they wouldn't have to meet at 7 o'clock, they could meet at 5 o'clock, or they, whatever, or they can meet on Tuesday or Thursday, but I think, they should look at that too, and then we don't have to work around them.
Maybe
Yeah,
the
just something-
liaison
just
can
something-
bring that out.
Just something I think about.
Yeah, the one thing I would say.
Bring it up at your meeting, you bring it up at yours.
Well, I did, and what I was gonna say is, by sharing it both times. There wasn't, they were interested to hear that we were considering it, but there's nothing hot and heavy, I think everybody's fine, and Alex, what'd you say?
I think everyone's happy.
With the air.
It also makes sense for the first week, so I can bring some of the work session.
All right, then let's just keep it the way it is.
That will be for next year's council. All right, Mr. Staff, would you tell us about item number 8, please?
Yeah, so we had a discussion last week. Well, for the public record, last month we discussed among other zoning text amendments that we found an inconsistency in section 11 commercial district around fire and rescue squad stations. So town council last month asked for us to take the March work session to have a discussion with Jim Bowling a little bit about what might we do in a zoning text amendment to alleviate that inconsistency. We had a discussion last week. Jim's recommendation of special use, and then town council discussed what seemed to be an interest in just amending the text amendment to require special use for fire and rescue squad stations in the commercial district. That's about the summary.
I move that we require a special, for fire rescue squad stations.
I'll second that.
Can we just do that without a public hearing?
Yes, because we already have a public hearing, but we should do a roll call vote.
So it's been moved and seconded that we make fire and rescue all through the special use committee in the commercial district. Is there any discussion?
I just want to add, just to say, just as a reminder, last public meeting of the town council, we talked about it, and I suggested we defer only because we wanted to hear from Mr. Bowling. Mr. Bowling, saying this to the citizens too. We got clarity from Mr. Bowling. He made it clear what he thought. we had a chance to talk to Mr. Boland. And from that, now we as a council are moving forward. So just the
Yeah.
steps there to kind of just make sure that we didn't do anything prematurely.
But I think that one of the big issues that what I heard is that if you're gonna have fire rescue, you're gonna have moving vehicles and you really need, that needs to be a special use permit. It's not like just having a store, that's pretty important.
A rescue squad can be like a private ambulance, so
Yes. Yeah.
it could be classified as a rescue squad, for-profit private ambulance service, and you don't want to screen.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's a good point.
So I think it needs to be
Good
special
point.
use.
So any other discussion? Alan, for?
Alex,
Yes.
Dave Ritzko,
Yes.
Meredith Hines,
Yes.
Bill Heisen,
Yes.
Eileen Morse,
Yes.
and Mr. King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We've already taken care of 8B, having a meeting on next Tuesday at 7:00.
Just to your comment, mention one thing that's just a tourism comment before we close.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that we're quite long this evening, and if anybody has anything you want to talk about, as long as it's not going to drag out for
I do have one thing that's kind of, I've been rattling around. I would like kind of council's blessing as a whole, and maybe to work with you in on this through the planning commission, but I'd like to approach Southern Homes about the lot division as well. And see if we can work something out that's beneficial for the town and for them, because I know they're looking for. Maybe smaller lots, or, maybe adjust lots or something like that, and I think this conversation started and didn't finish, and now that they're starting in Bird, albeit slowly, I'd like to be able to approach them. I know you expressed interest in it. as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing I was waiting on is, kind of a signal from the comprehensive plan
Okay.
to see what the thinking on the comprehensive plan, and I was gonna use that as a starting point for conversation
Okay.
with the developers.
That's perfect. I'm not in a rush to do
Because
this.
that
I just wanna make sure it's all-
That could be influenced by how the council feels about the comp plan and whatnot, so I don't want to hold you up on this. I just do want to make the point that it was on hold from my perspective till we got more
And
guidance from the comp.
And I'm totally fine with any timeline or anyone's interested in this. I
Yeah.
just looking at completing the last year of my first term, it is something that interests me. It's a part of this job that I would like to be involved in.
One of the things else, just to follow up with you on this, so when we went through the process of the 36 houses and then the apartments, for me personally, I have an open dialogue with them, so I talked to them, I haven't talked to them recently, but so any one of the council, anybody on the council can easily do so, so I think you can feel free to talk to them at will on your own. And you can also feel free to talk to, through the council as we talk through. So I will just say, I think it's a good idea that we do think about it. And I have always found them responsive and interested in hearing what we're interested in. So. Okay.
Yeah, I think
No, I
it's
don't
waiting
wanna-
for us to initiate the dialogue. I don't think they want to do anything outside of what this council will. I just don't think they want to jump through hoops. I think if we give them a clear signal that we're interested, I think, at least from my perspective, they've been very responsive in sort of coming to the
And
table.
that's why, I don't want, make them, I just kind of want to see where they're at, because I know they want us to approach them.
And I was hoping that,
Maybe bring that back to council, and before we even initiate it, kind of see if we're on the same page. And what direction as a council we want to get with that.
I was hoping that in the comp plan, there might be some guidance on some of that, what would be open. We can have a discussion with council and approach Southern once we sort of have our ducks in a row.
That sounds perfect.
But I'm not holding you up. Okay.
I know you've showed interest in this, and
Absolutely.
I know Dan has as well, but I just want to be.
Good. I think it's a great
Put me on the
idea.
bus.
When is the ETA on the comp plan again? Was it sometime this month, June?
It's more April, May.
April, May? A long time. Maybe we should look at it.
But I like that guy. I think they need to come before us and give us an update on Bird Street and that, we could, because even Bird Street hasn't started yet. it's 2 years, and they're playing around with the land and stuff, but what are the extra steps they have to go through? What do they have to get approval of? What's some of the plans? So they're working on the factory as well. And I'd like to know a little bit more about the factory too.
I think if you just, I mean, Bill, if you ask them.
What's going on with the factory?
Well, yeah, I think reaching out to them, I'm trying to,
Yeah.
we can't take them, I mean, they're already.
But I think if they came here, we could ask them to have a discussion. I think.
Yeah, as long as it's open and it's productive and respectful.
Work session, so it's out.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We haven't seen it in a couple of months.
Yeah.
How's the progress that's going on? Last word I got from them is, they're about ready to start working.
But has the final plat been approved? Yeah. Oh, that's,
That's by right, right? It's on the-
no. That's all the conditions.
Final, diagram of how the houses and the road and everything else.
We
So,
have-
Javier, could you reach out to Charlie
Can you bring?
and invite him to the work session
Next
next work in April?
April.
And just talk about the status of Bird, and then maybe we can at least start a conversation on the lots up at, East Village.
With her to just give them some update.
Yeah,
Progress
that's a great.
report, let's go on progress.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are interested. I think it's great for the community and it'll be interesting.
And I think that might be something we should add to that we're advertising public hearing, just to kind of a preemptive one, see where the town, give the people of the town an opportunity to speak on what direction they want to go
We
to.
don't have to advertise a public hearing, we can.
Or maybe put it on the agenda.
The website, where else we can advertise.
We just don't want them to feel
We
overwhelmed.
don't have $800.
People come out swinging for no reason.
So tell us how we do it.
Yeah,
You know, these legal notices run about $800 a crack, and it doesn't take long. I've signed a check for $800 the other day to pay for 2 legal notices.
but can we do the savings? Like,
Well, we are, and that's what Javier, this
Yeah.
meeting on Tuesday does not have to be a public notice on.
No.
No, it's just, we're just talking about the budget, not doing anything exciting.
right,
So it doesn't have to, but he is exploring the best ways to save money on public notices as for what Mr. Bowles goes. So next time we have to do a public notice, it will do it in a least extensive way that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, there you go. Mr. Mayor, This was the comment on tourism.
sure.
Yeah, okay, let's see, Mr. Chris.
Couple things. I don't know, have you all been aware of what's been happening at Mickey Tower in the last month or so? So really quick, so Monticello about a year ago bought Jefferson Vineyards. And they were going to buy Mickey Tower. And within a few days of the sale, in fact, Mickey Tower had sold off their gift shops and prepared for it, and the sale fell through.
Wow.
So they are now back to their original ownership. That affects us, because we have a lot of groups that go there to Mickey Tower and to Monticello. And the thing I was going to also mention to you in the job that I do with World Strides, DC, as you may or may not know, is the biggest tour site in the world. I think that is the most visited city in the world. Most of the groups that we have traveled come there, a smaller percentage to Williamsburg or Philadelphia, New York, and a smaller percentage come to Charlottesville. I mention it to say that there's a lot of people that travel across the country coming near this area. And one of the things that as we've seen the growth around here, especially with the wineries that are near us, that are nearby where weddings take place or people come and do some events there. And then there's also, obviously, we have our brewery in town. I think it's helpful to think about how do we tap into the larger tour world. I did something last week with World Strides. I created the tour for Appomattox, and I was hoping it would have a Scottsville connection, which it did not. That's another story. But the tour itself was a success. And I was just going to say, it would be good for us again to talk more about tours here And there's many different angles of tours, and it might even be good to encourage a few of our local businesses to kind of even see how to themselves create tours, because that's, so in other words, if there's an entity here, were to create things, there's many, many different levels of things that people can do. Whether it's, you know, maybe somebody wants to canoe a section of the Hardware River and that's something they start to sell. Or maybe somebody wants to do hot air balloons off of their field that they don't know what they want to do. I mean, it's endless, the things that you can do. And some of it would be wise for us as a council, maybe even at some point, to think about ways that we can both encourage local businesses to do it. There have been a couple times, it's been a few years, where one of the groups I work with, when DC was shut down, the 50 people came and ate at the tavern. But there's very specific things you do when you do that for the larger tour world. It's not the way you do normal business. So my only point is to say, you might say the last month or two has reminded me that Scottsville has interesting historical sites. We have agribusiness around here. We have some nice green spaces, and some of it has to do with how do we ourselves help our local businesses kind of step into that. Somebody said, what we can do, we have some roundtable discussion from Mr. Mayor, maybe it's even with the chamber. But I think the goal of having some of these entities decide to swing through Scottsville is really, really valuable. But it will take some effort probably on the part of the town and creative thinking about how to do it. So I'm just saying to you all, I see it. I just came back from leading a tour in Charlottesville, and they were a group that I work with in California. And I'm only saying that that's great for Charlottesville. In the end, we need to find ways to have them.
And not to keep everyone in mind, but I think we've been kind of on the defense as a council for a long time, especially during our work sessions, just trying to prepare, trying to get stuff done. It might be, I know, no one wants to stay here as long as, unless they have to, but maybe to have sort of a strategic part of our work session where we can put forward ideas and kind of plan for the future rather than trying to maintain what we have and fighting things as they come and try to go ahead of some of that stuff. Maybe add a bullet point and just take 10 minutes and we haven't done.
Yeah.
Well, will remind me, the next work session, I will tell everybody about all the different joint ventures we've had since I've been here to try to get visitors to come to town. Those have been several.
And some of them have been successful too.
Some of them have worked, some of them have not worked. But we'll talk about it. It's good. We'll make sure we make a note to talk about tourism and.
And this plays into our revenue question.
I mean, the history, just the fact that all commerce for Central Virginia came through Scottsville, all of it. I mean, anywhere in Central Virginia, if we were picking up tobacco or planks or, whatever, you went to Canal Basin Square to get it, everything happened here. We were the county seat, we were all, I mean, there's no reason why.
See, there's a tour guide right there.
And it made it
Crazy. There's no reason why we couldn't be like a mini Williamsburg. And like we have that kind of history here.
So while we're talking about that, the museum will be open for the first day of the season on Sunday the 7th. At 3, it was open at 1, but at 3 o'clock, there was a gentleman who used to be the historical architect for UVA, who's written a book about the history of Black schools in Alabama County. And he's, what is it?
Send it in.
Supposed to have like Jody.
Okay.
He is going to give a talk on his book at 3 o'clock at the museum story. So great. Sunday the 7th. You have anything on the mind?
No, I like that too. Maybe you should start hosting it.
Well, honestly,
Real tourist committee and that could come up every month.
And usually we want to
they go that long.
I just.
Really do so much.
Yeah. sidebar conversation, you know, later.
Yeah,
But it was.
remember Jimmy Longwood?
Sure. Well, it's.
Yeah, over to
See.
But
we have cool stuff.
about Scottsville, and he goes that, he takes like 1,000 of them, goes rust off on 64, so I put them in the rack, and the rack of us says, you can't do that. You have to have you have to have a contract.
Oh, you do?
She works there, you pay her, which is what she
Wow.
works
Who knew?
for. Yeah, anything else on the advice now?
Do I need to be officially appointed?
Already
Okay, I didn't know if, no, I didn't, I
Congratulations.
didn't know if just saying that in the consent calendar was still here, left for ARB, we had to do it.
Good point. Anyhow, thank you all, and we're to adjourn. So, in a second.
Second.
Thank you all.
Sure.
So 20, this Thursday. Great, happy to live in the attachments. And this Alex, yeah, and also. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It's so great.
Oh, thank you.
I highly recommend it, it's nice, mix, slathering.
Oh.
You got some talent there.
Activate.
Talk to you
And
later.
I don't like my soda bread this morning.
Oh,
I
right.
think I can make it during the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I was getting so excited for St. Patrick's Day. So
Whoa.
there's nothing stopping me from making a soda bread. I'll just see it. When this came out, I went out. So,
Oh.
okay.
Thank you. Soda bread. Oh, you're kind.
Yeah, yeah. And I so that's the best way to do it. We're really, really popular. I just, okay.
Things like that. So, I don't know, whether we got money available, but, you know.
Everything good? Very good.
I'll send you an email because I think he needs to be involved in it.
Sure.
Because he'll be working with us.
Even if we just start.
Coordinate something on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
To
that's
get
great.
Kathy and
The great one.
you, me, and Tom, and everything.
Sweet.
And then I'll update.
Tuesday afternoons are my best time for that. Cause that's the one day a week I get off of work at 1:30, so then I might, you know, I have my afternoons, so.
For the email. And then Bill, like I said in the email, the idea was if we can get those financial statements.
So, Brad,
Oh, it's only by the end of the year, it'd be nice to, no, I don't think money.
No, what I recommend is, once we have through February, you have 8 or 12 months. So you have 2/3, so you have a really good opportunity to last year.
Okay.
At that point, you feel much more confident about how do you want to do this?
Right.
And then you could
Okay.
even use next week calls, a public hearing for anything you want to do for next month. And then you're able to get it done, that appropriate any way you want
Yeah.
or not. In
Right.
April, and I think it's April, May, June. get anything done.
Yeah.
That's one.
Okay.
That's late. plan.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Those and stuff like that.
I think we missed an opportunity today just to say, hey, we need brass tricks with other priorities, but maybe
Yeah.
it's that.
I mean, I've listed those things that we can use, but,
And then what I talked with Ron was about leaving the castle very open, because I think that's where most of this question up here for you guys.
Yeah.
Or judgment calls you guys on budget stuff,
Yeah.
so we can talk about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just,
We gotta check now and find out where exactly.
conference. Training
Oh, yeah. Here? Which training?
you know, the one that we talked about, Greg, with, Devonzio, or what,
Oh, we need to figure that out. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's Tuesday.
that was Tuesday. I forgot all about it.
Tomorrow?
No, next Tuesday.
Oh,
Greg, we put out with.
because I want to do that.
Yeah.
It's here in Valley.
Nice to hear. Maybe we can get him to, maybe he can do it downstairs,
What time?
7 o'clock.
In the evening?
Yeah, that might be the way.
Okay.
Stan might be willing to host them downstairs.
Yeah. We'll work it out,
Could I CC you and Stevie? I'll send a quick email
yeah.
and ask for a favor. Oh, they might have classes Tuesday. All right, we'll figure it out.
What, downstairs?
Yeah.
I think most of their classes are Mondays. No?
Oh, I don't know. She sent me a calendar too. I didn't even remember about that.
They don't, let's see, Tuesdays, they have 3 PM music lesson classes.
Okay.
That's all they've got listed on their calendar, is 3:15 music lessons.
Oh, what a relief. I'm so glad I shared that with you. 2 months ago. Okay, so we can. Would you reach out? I'll CC Greg and Stevie and ask. Yeah, they have CBA at 4 and then the music lessons. It should work out.
So anyhow, this, James from the chamber this afternoon, and to make a long story short, it's about the Pollinator Festival.
Okay.
And Pollinator Scan had wanted Kimberly to give a lecture on bees, but they wanted her to do it on the Scan land. And she basically, make sure I'm getting this right, she basically told them she could give it in her business, but she couldn't leave the business and go over there and get Scan land. So the board of directors of Scan voted to get a bee girl from Charlottesville to come down and give a lecture. And so James is thinking Scan, being a member of the chamber, is not supporting a local chamber business by getting a bee company from Charlottesville to come down and give a lecture.
I agree. I think Kimberly is being I mean, her parents are highly involved with the
Yes.
business.
And we-
I feel like she
we understand
could read for an hour and a half or, you know, whatever.
So we were just gonna throw it out to you as events, just to kind of think about it and think about what, you know, what kind of advice can we give the chamber and Scan to work this thing out? So, you know, or that it's not really working out, but it's just not fair to a local business to force somebody in the same business. It'd be like,
Yeah.
like setting up a Starbucks outside.
Outside of Baines, yeah.
So just put some thought into it.
I'll put some thought into it, yeah, no. I'm gonna talk to Kimberly first though. Because I have a feeling. We're not recording, right?
No,
I know what you're gonna say.
Just, I would say to be a little.
Wait. I'll cut it out.